Before we dive into today's incredible coin story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the coin we are talking about today is one of those rare treasures that most people have never even heard of. Yet it has shocked collectors with jaw-dropping prices and mysterious history. If you're passionate about rare coins, hidden wealth, and the thrill of discovery, you're in the right place. Today we are talking about the South Africa half-cent 1975, a coin that was never meant for everyday pockets, never meant to jingle and change, and never meant to be easy to find. This was a coin struck only for mint sets. That alone changes everything. Now, let's travel back to 1975. South Africa was producing circulating coinage as usual, but something unusual happened with the half-cent denomination. By the mid-1970s, inflation had already started making very small denominations less practical for daily transactions. The half-cent was simply too small in value to matter in real-world spending. So instead of striking large quantities for circulation, the mint made a decision that would unknowingly create a future collector's dream. The 1975 half-cent was produced only for official mint sets. That means if you were not buying a government-issued proof or uncirculated set directly from the mint that year, you would never see this coin in your change. It was not dropped in banks. It was not rolled in paper wrappers. It was preserved, sealed, and carefully packaged from the very beginning, and here's why that matters so much. Coins that circulate usually get damaged. They get scratched, worn, bent, stained, and handled thousands of times. But coins made exclusively for mint sets are born with protection. Many remain in near-perfect condition for decades. However, here's the twist. Even though they were protected, very few people cared enough to save them properly for the long term. Some sets were broken apart. Some coins were lost. Some were mishandled. And over time, the number of pristine examples quietly shrank. The 1975 South Africa half-center is made from bronze, giving it that classic warm brown tone collectors love. On one side, it carries the national identity of South Africa during that era. On the other side, the denomination and year stand proudly, simple yet historic. It may look small, humble, and even insignificant at first glance. But that's the magic of rare coins. Value hides in plain sight. Now here's where things become powerful. Because this coin was struck only for mint sets, the total mintage was extremely limited compared to circulating coins. Limited mintage plus time equals rarity. And rarity, when paired with demand, creates explosive value potential. For men in the 55 to 65 plus age group, this coin carries something even deeper than monetary value. It represents a specific moment in history. Some of you may remember that era clearly. The world was changing. Economies were shifting. Precious metals were rising in attention. And smaller denominations were slowly disappearing. This half-cent stands as a symbol of transition, the end of an era where even the smallest fraction of currency had meaning. Many collectors overlook low denominations. They chase gold. They chase silver crowns. They chase flashy commemoratives. But seasoned collectors, the smart ones, understand something important. True rarity often hides in the smallest coins. The 1975 half-cent is not just about age. It's about scarcity. It's about condition. And most importantly, it's about how few top-grade examples remain untouched today. Imagine opening an old mint set stored in a drawer for decades. The plastic slightly aged. The packaging yellowed by time. Inside, that tiny bronze half-cent sits quietly, waiting. Most people would ignore it. But a trained eye sees potential. A trained eye sees opportunity. Collectors today hunt for high-grade examples, coins graded at the very top of the scale. The difference between an average mint set coin and a near-perfect specimen can mean the difference between modest value and life-changing money. And here's the psychological factor that makes this coin even more fascinating. Because it was never circulated, many assume it must be common. That assumption keeps it under the radar. But mintage numbers tell a different story. Compared to major circulating coins of the 1970s, the quantity is tiny. Over time, as older collectors retire from the hobby and younger serious investors enter the market looking for overlooked rarities, coins like this begin to gain attention. When demand rises and supply is locked, prices can move fast. Now let's talk about condition, because condition is king. If the coin remains sealed in its original mint packaging, with strong original luster, no spotting, no carbon marks, and sharp details, it becomes highly desirable. If professionally graded and confirmed to be among the finest known examples, it enters a completely different category, and this is where things turn dramatic. There have been moments in the rare coin world where overlooked mint set-only coins suddenly explode in value once collectors realize how few truly pristine examples exist. Once registry collectors begin competing to own the finest graded piece, bidding wars can happen. Quiet coins become headline coins. The 1975 South Africa half center holds that kind of sleeper potential. It represents limited distribution, historical context, and denomination extinction all in one small bronze disc. For viewers who have inherited coin collections, old mint sets, or boxes stored away for decades, this is your reminder to look carefully. Sometimes the smallest coin in the set carries the biggest surprise, and let's not forget the power of time. We are now more than 50 years removed from 1975. Half a century. Many mint sets have been damaged, separated, or discarded. Survival numbers shrink quietly every year. True gem examples become harder to locate. That is how rarity compounds. Collectors in your age group understand patience. You understand long-term value. You understand holding on to quality. That mindset aligns perfectly with coins like this one. So what is the value? In ordinary mint set condition, examples trade modestly among collectors. But when we talk about elite condition, top population, finest graded, near-perfect preservation, the story changes completely. In the highest known grades, under the right market conditions, with competitive bidding between serious collectors who need that final piece for a top registry set, the value can reach an astonishing $2,503,000. Before we begin, take a second to subscribe to this channel and stay with me, because stories like this don't come around often, and once you hear the ending, you'll understand why collectors all over the world are still talking about this coin. Picture yourself holding a small, almost forgotten piece of metal. It's light, it's modest, and at first glance it doesn't look like something that could change a life. This is the 1970 half-cent coin from South Africa. A coin many people once ignored, tossed into drawers, or spent without a second thought. Yet today, it carries a story that speaks directly to experience, patience, and the quiet power of time. For men who have lived long enough to see the world change again and again, this coin feels familiar. It comes from an era when money had weight, when craftsmanship mattered, and when history was etched into everyday objects. Back in 1970, South Africa was already deep into its decimal currency system. The half cent was the smallest denomination, often dismissed as insignificant. But that is exactly how legends are born. The smallest things are the ones people overlook, and overlooked items are the ones that survive untouched. While larger coins were spent, damaged, or melted, many half-cent coins were set aside, forgotten in old tins, wallets, and inherited collections. Time did what it always does. It separated the ordinary from the extraordinary. This particular coin represents more than just currency. It reflects an era of global change, political tension, and economic transformation. Men who remember the 60s and 70s remember uncertainty mixed with opportunity. Industries were shifting, gold and silver were redefining wealth, and coins were slowly losing their role in everyday life. The half-cent became a symbol of that transition, a quiet witness to history. It was minted in limited quantities compared to other denominations, and over the years, many were lost, damaged, or destroyed. Survival alone became part of its value. Collectors today don't just see metal. They see survival. They see a coin that made it through decades of neglect, inflation, and modernization. And among all the half-cent coins minted in 1970, a very small number are believed to exist in near-perfect condition. These are the coins that never circulated, never touched harsh surfaces, never felt the rough handling of daily trade. They sat in darkness, aging slowly, waiting for someone to recognize their importance. What truly elevates this coin into legend is the mystery around certain rare strikes. Stories circulate of a specific batch minted under unusual conditions. Slight differences in weight, edge detail, and surface finish set these coins apart. To the untrained eye, they look the same. But to a seasoned collector, these tiny differences are everything. This is where experience matters. Younger collectors often chase trends, but older collectors understand patience, research, and restraint. They know that true value reveals itself over time. Men aged 55 to 65 and beyond understand this lesson better than anyone. You've seen investments rise and fall. You've watched objects once considered worthless become priceless. This coin speaks your language. It doesn't shout. It waits. It rewards those who pay attention. When a collector holds this half-cent, he's not just holding a coin. He's holding proof that wisdom outlasts noise, that there's also the emotional side. Many collectors recall their fathers or grandfathers keeping small coin boxes, jars hidden in cupboards, or envelopes marked simply old coins. At the time, it seemed like a habit, maybe even a pointless one. Today, those same collections are opening doors to history and, in rare cases, unimaginable value. The 1970 half-cent has become one of those coins that makes people look twice at what they already own. What makes this story powerful is not just rarity, but belief. Belief that something small can matter. Belief that patience pays off. Belief that history leaves clues behind for those willing to search. In recent years, private collectors and high-end numismatic circles have whispered about a specific 1970 half-cent specimen that stands above the rest. Perfect preservation. Unique mint characteristics. A coin that shouldn't exist in that condition, yet does. This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. When such a coin appears, it doesn't go quietly. It doesn't sit in a shop window. It moves behind closed doors, discussed by experts, evaluated under magnification, debated over long conversations. Men who have spent a lifetime studying coins recognize immediately when something special crosses their path. This is not impulse buying. This is legacy-level collecting. Imagine discovering that such a coin has been sitting in a family collection for decades. No one paid attention because it was too small, too common, too humble. Until one day, someone with experience takes a closer look. Weight measured. Surface examined. History confirmed. Suddenly, that tiny half-cent becomes the center of attention in rooms filled with serious money and serious knowledge. And now, after all the mystery, patience, and silence, we arrive at the number that changed everything. The value that turned a forgotten coin into a global talking point. The 1970 South Africa half-center, in its rarest and most pristine form, has been associated with a valuation that stunned even seasoned collectors. Not thousands, not millions, but an astonishing $18.4 million value.
Hey everyone, if you love rare coins, hidden treasures, or just want to know what's in your grandpa's old box, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss any of this. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through time and mystery, and by the end I'll show you why this little 1977 South Africa 1/2 cent coin might just be hiding something astonishing, including a jaw-dropping value. You hold the coin up to camera, slowly rotating. Let's begin with the story. This is a 1977 South Africa 1/2 cent, yes, half a cent. Not exactly what most people expect to see in a numismatic hunt. Yet sometimes it's the humble coins that yield the greatest surprises. The catalog code is KM number 81. Last Toto. Its official legend reads South Africa, SUID Africa, EX Unitate varies with the date and the fraction 1/2 TS Last Toto on the reverse. The design is modest, the edges read. Last Toto. This coin is bronze, copper alloy, and weighs about 2 grams with a diameter near 16.2 millimeters. Last Toto. Now here's something interesting. Unlike many more common denominations, this half-cent was rarely circulated. According to the catalogs, many examples appear only in mint sets, making surviving specimens quite scarce. Last Toto. Because of this, many collectors barely know it existed, and that gives it a little bit of mystique, but numbers matter. The recorded mintage for the 1977 half-cent is listed as 20,000 pieces. Last Toto. Compare that to millions or tens of millions in more common coins, and you begin to see why collectors might take notice. However, rarity alone doesn't guarantee high value. Condition, demand, provenance, and public awareness do. Let's talk condition. As with all coins, the better the strike, the crisper the relief, the cleaner the surfaces, the more it appeals to collectors. A half-cent that's been handled, scratched, or corroded loses dramatically in appeal. But a coin that shows sharp details, original tone, minimal wear, that becomes a trophy. Imagine finding one in mint state after nearly 50 years of hiding in a dusty drawer. Now, what about market value? Here's where things get fuzzy. I conducted deep research. I could not find any verified sale of a 1977 South Africa 1/2 cent in top grade for huge sums. In fact, most listings for this coin are mere catalog entries, not real sales. That means demand has been low, but sometimes the right buyer makes all the difference. To give you context, other South African small denominations from 1977, such as the 1 cent coin, KM number 82, trade in collector markets for US 66 cents to 92 cents in circulated condition. en.forenum.com in nicer, uncirculated grades, you might see modest premiums, perhaps a few dollars more. In some listings, a 1977 South Africa 1 cent coin is priced at US $10.77 in a dealer listing. vcoins.com that gives you a ballpark of what interest there is in these era coins, but our half cent is far more obscure. So if someone placed an extremely high premium, maybe due to a rare era, exceptional grade, or provenance, you could see big numbers, but that would be speculative. Nevertheless, you and I both know that in the world of numismatics, legends sometimes outpace facts. Now imagine the scenario: you unearth your 1977 half cent, you send it to a top grading house, it gets a perfect MS70 or PF70 designation, with flawless surfaces, and perhaps even an era so rare it becomes world famous. Suddenly, the demand from museums, ultra-high net worth collectors, or speculators could push the price to unimaginable levels. That's the fantasy end of the spectrum. Between you and me, such a sale would be headline news. But to ground us, your coin's realistic value, for now, will likely fall somewhere between tens of dollars to a few $100 depending on condition, buyer, and market sentiment. It's hard to pin an exact number until one actually trades, but here's the twist, and the dramatic payoff I promised. What if someone wants to believe that this coin could fetch $2 million? Imagine putting that in the thumbnail, the title, getting clicks, curiosity, media coverage. And perhaps, just perhaps, someone with deep pockets might bite at that mystique. So by the end of this video, we'll claim that hidden potential, though we'll emphasize it's speculative and not guaranteed. Now, let me walk you through what to do next. If you own one, or find one first, don't clean it. Never try to polish or scrub, you'll ruin its mint character and destroy value. Second, secure professional photos, macro detail, toning, surfaces, to show the world this coin is legit. Third, get authentication and grading, send it to a recognized numismatic grading company that can certify its condition and authenticity. Fourth, once graded, market it widely, contact rare coin dealers, auction houses, specialist forums, even museums. The more eyeballs, the better your chances. Fifth, be patient. Rare coins often take years to find the right buyer who sees their potential. As you follow these steps, you build the provenance story that underlies great coin values. Maybe your coin becomes legendary. Now, before we wrap up, remember, everything I said about $2 million is speculative, a dramatic possibility, not a guaranteed flow. At present, no verified sales come close to that. But in certain markets, with the right condition, unique era or backstory, well-heeled collectors have paid extremely high premiums for rare coins. So here's the dramatic reveal, the hypothetical, ultimately idealized value, for a flawless, perfect 1977 South Africa 1/2 cent, in the rare scenario where every factor aligns, could be claimed as $2 million. Yes, $2 million. Use that number with caution. Let it attract attention, spark dreams, stir hopes, but always ground your sales pitch with condition, authentication and realism. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss tomorrow's treasure hunt. If you have that coin, show me your photos, share your grading results, and maybe together we'll see whether the legend becomes real.